Reading this made me realize how shitty my manager was. What made you quit a job on the spot? Back in 1998, I was working for Dell selling computers over the phones. People were not quite ordering online yet. Anyway, it was so easy. I was making close to $100,000 a year BC of how the commission structure was. Living in Austin as a 23-year-old. So one day my manager asks me to train a new team of salespeople because I was one of the top. I turned this group into the most badass sales team. My crew of 8 were all in the top 20 every week and were kicking ass. After 2 months, I show up on a Monday and none of the salespeople are there except my team and a bunch of other new faces I hadn't seen before. Turns out Dell didn't like paying commissions and health insurance and 401ks, so they fired all the salespeople and replaced them with temp workers making $12 an hour. My entire team was the first group of temp works. I was not aware of this. They were told they had to prove themselves and be converted to full-time with benefits. They were never going to do it. I told them they can all go fuck themselves and quit. I heard that week they cleaned house and everyone, even managers who told me what was happening, were gone and all replaced by temp hourly people. At 17, I was a young line cook at an upscale Italian restaurant. I was picking everything up so quickly I knew all the stations on the line within 10 months of hiring. I was getting minimum wage, at the time $7.25 per hour, and asked for a $1 per hour raise to reflect my diverse capabilities. Got denied and asked the chef when I could get it then. She said, "You're too young for a raise, just be happy with minimum wage." In response I said I may have to start looking elsewhere for a job who'll pay me what I'm worth. She then said, "Don't you know how expendable cooks are? If you leave I can replace you on the spot." So I did. A Sunday evening dinner service, very busy. At the height of the night I and my friend who I got hired took off our aprons and walked off the line towards the front door. He came with me in solidarity, plus I was his ride home. Felt good for a day or two, but I've never quit that way ever since. Been in the service industry for 23 years now. Makes me want to wait to quit at the busiest moment next time I have a shit manager, assuming there's no co-workers who will suffer from it. I quit because my manager wanted me to stay for an extra hour on Christmas Eve without notice. I would have stayed, but they told me it was my fault because I didn't ask her if one had to stay longer. I got really mad. She was blaming it on me, so I quit. I would have even kissed the manager's feet for $7.25 an hour I was earning, and still am in another job, the equivalent of $10 a day. Latin America is great. Not on the spot, but I was passed over for a promotion for a role I'd been doing unofficially for 6 months. There was no official position for it when I started doing it. It was one of the manager's responsibilities and they delegated it to me. Honestly, I was happy to do it and I was frequently praised for how efficient and thorough I was doing it. So when an official position opened up to do it full time, I seemed like the obvious choice. A bunch of my co-workers didn't even apply for it because they told me they didn't think there was any point since I was obviously getting the job. They gave it to a guy that worked in a different department and had no experience using the complicated system required for that job. Then the manager asked me to train him in it. Except I wasn't really asked. I was told in a way that sounded like it was asking. We called it being voluntold. I refused. I said to the manager, if I'm not good enough to get the job, I'm not good enough to teach someone else how to do it. The manager then accused me throwing a temper tantrum. I quit about a week later. Honestly, that wasn't the only reason. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Even the other managers couldn't believe he said that. Reading this made me realize how shitty my manager was. My first job in high school was washing dishes at a pub. I got it so I could buy my GF a necklace that she wanted as a Christmas present. Come New Year Eve, they decided to put one person on dishes for a packed evening. I was quickly inundated. Close at 10 p.m. and at 11 p.m. I'm still doing dishes, and this fat bitch chef is watching me laughing about how I'm not gonna be able to spend the New Year moment with my little girlfriend. I just said I just remembered I don't need to do this and walked out of that place and never went back. I'll never know that freedom again, haha. Owner pulled a gun, unloaded, on us during training to prepare us for armed robbery. One of the rules of gun ownership is to always assume and treat the gun as if it's loaded. Why do you think I walked out of there after we all got done cowering on the ground? Worked at a restaurant as a server. We just catered a large wedding reception. The owner's wife was chatting with the wedding party all night and occasionally getting the drinks. At the end of the night she said she's taking her share of the tips since she helped so much. I say fine, even though that's illegal in our state. An hour and a half after the party ends, the restaurant is still a mess and the owner's wife is just standing around talking while I was supposed to clean up. It was almost midnight and I'd worked my other job earlier that day. I walked out without saying a word. They ended up giving me all of my tips on my last check. You dodged a bullet with that job. The wife sounds super entitled. For anyone reading, that's illegal in every state. 100% of tips belong to employees in the chain of service, though some states are more restrictive than the new federal standard for pools. They dodged a bullet. I had worked for a cleaning company and I had a total disaster of a person named Tina as my manager for about 4 months. Tina would work the night shift with a crew and basically did nothing. She would leave the majority the work for me to do during the day when it was a lot harder to do as I had my own list of duties as well as whatever she left for me from her own list. I was teetering on the edge of quitting, but I hadn't found a replacement when one day I got a call from head office that Tina had quit, and for about a month the job was exceptionally better and I effectively was my own boss. Tina asking me to do a bunch of extra stuff. I called the owner and they told me that Tina had approached them about coming back and that they were rehiring her in her former position, and I literally just packed up and walked out about an hour into my shift. I had zero intention of working another minute for that woman and held to it. For a second, it was almost a happy ending. And then it wasn't. Sad emoji. Hope you're doing better now, too. Haha, thanks. I am doing substantially better. I now manage a small company totally unrelated to that and make almost double what I was earning then. Very much a blessing in disguise. I got blamed for something that wasn't my fault. Was in an argument with our VP or marketing because I had the audacity to suggest a solution that would have avoided our problem instead of accepting fault for something I didn't do. He told me he doesn't pay me to think, so that was my last day. I had a manager tell me, I don't pay you to think, I pay you to work. The owner overheard and told him, if this guy, me, has a good idea, you better fucking consider it. Manager goes back to the owner and says if you want him to think then he can think his way into my manager job. And stormed away. Got fired shortly thereafter. I did not get his job. Lol. I got told that by a boss, I don't pay you to think. A couple days later he asked me if I was thinking or using my head sometimes. I looked him straight in his eyes and told him, you don't pay me for that. I was at a company for about a year and a half as an assistant project manager. In that year and a half, I had 3 different bosses. The newest one being a heavy micromanager. I was getting paid about 20% below the standard salary for the position, overworked without any additional compensation, and the overall culture of the company was just flawed. My boss started nitpicking my work at the end of the day. I told her I had plenty of time to get it done before the end of the day, but she kept pushing and escalating. She was borderline screaming and I just cut her off and said, I'm not doing this shit anymore. I quit. She yelled back, "Well, I need IT in writing," and I said back with the straightest face, "I don't have to do shit in writing." I quietly packed all my stuff up, said good luck to my co-workers, and left. A year later, after working a couple of other jobs, I accepted a project manager position with a competing company and make almost twice as much as I was making at the previous. And I get to post on Reddit while at work without getting yelled at. "Well, I need IT in writing, lol bitch, you gonna keep paying me if I don't?" Jeet 4. I would have just told her to write it down. Worked for a privately owned bakery for exactly 1 week. The owner's son comes in, walks past the counter and into the bathroom. He comes out a few minutes later without acknowledging me or my co-worker, gets into his car and drives away. We both looked at each other, then opened the door only to find this guy literally shit all over the toilet seat and the toilet paper holder. I called the owner, told her what happened, and she said to deal with it. So I asked my co-worker if she wanted to clean it up because I wasn't going to. She declined and I told her I was walking out. She did as well. We locked up the store and told the owner we quit but would reconsider staying if her son came back to clean up his own mess. She yelled and berated us for 20 seconds before I said goodbye and hung up. Jesus Christ. That family must have some crazy mental issues. He was 22 at the time and I'm pretty sure he had a drug problem. When I started working there, he was an employee for a day or two before his mom came in and told him to leave after finding out he was taking money from the register. I think on that day he had enough and decided to do what he did to get back at her. My co-worker and I were caught in the crossfire and bailed out of that situation fast. I got mugged on a delivery for Domino's, and came back to the shop crying and panicked, had my phone, wallet, and pizza taken, told my manager what happened. "Anon, are you hurt?" "No, but I lost my phone and wallet. I need to call the police." "No time for that. Here's your next delivery." It was like 2 blocks from where I was just mugged. I just went home. The police never really did much to get my phone and wallet back. Not like they could. I got rolled delivering pizza when I was 17. Regular customer orders his unique regular pizza to his own address, then jumps out of a bush at the front of his house with a knife. My boss was an older Romanian dude and he also refused to let me contact the police. About 45 minutes later, 2 absolute units that spoke no English came in with everything that was stolen, plus a tip. Turns out he was a good guy to work for. How dumb do you have to be to not only mug someone who knows you, but who has your address, and right in front of your own house? I worked for an attorney. I was 7 months pregnant. I was supposed to be a secretary, but instead I was constantly being sent out as a process server. In July, at the end of my 3 months, August, I was supposed to get a raise and she said that she couldn't give me a raise. The day she said that, I left at lunch and never went back. She was an awful person and the guy I replaced told me that he felt sorry for me on my first day as he was leaving. I should have left that day. Damn. I'm sorry. I've worked for several law firms. They are a real mixed bag. They can have lots of money and shit management or just be one attorney that really knows his shit. I was a paralegal and I usually managed our secretary and legal assistants. Mainly, everyone else was too busy to teach them and I figured if I taught them right my day would get better. I also told them once I saw their skills exceeding their pay level, if you can get training, you can really bounce upwards in that job. Thanks for watching. If you like our videos at indietts, then don't forget to share the videos to your friends, like us and subscribe. This video's like target is 38 likes. I will see you in the next video.